Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to another video, and this is what I'm talking about: when and how you should employ people into a social media marketing agency to help you run a business and not be a freelancer, right? How to actually build systems underneath you, people included, that allow you to live the lifestyle that you want, allow you to take on as many clients as you want while still maintaining valuable relationships with them. I want to talk to you about some of the people that I've hired, fired, and sort of the entire process within that, and how you can actually start to do the same. So let's go ahead and hop into the video. First of all, what you gotta know about me is that I don't hire, just nonchalantly. It's a really big deal when I hire somebody or bring somebody onto the team or whatnot. And as well, the line between what is an employee and what isn't an employee can be sort of blurred sometimes. If you have a contractor that you tend to work with often, then that can be considered an employee, quote unquote, but it's also on paper it's not, but they're doing the same work as an employee would. So I want to make sure that you know that legally, on paper, I have no employees because it just makes things really, really easy. They're all contractors or commission-based salespeople or whatever. But I do want you to know that, if you remove all the stupid paperwork, then they're pretty much employees and they work for me and they do stuff for me. And I'll explain to you some that you should have in this video. So let's say you're in a niche and you're delivering a specific type of service for a specific kind of problem. If you follow me at all, you know that I talk about having one problem and one service that meets that problem and fixes it. You don't want to overcomplicate things. You don't want to go for a bunch of different niches with a bunch of different problems and try to do a bunch of different services. Just one problem, one niche, one service, right? When you have one problem, one service, one niche, it becomes really easy to know when you should hire on because you begin to recognize fat in your process. And what I mean by fat in your process is you're spending more time than you need to doing something that isn't as important as the amount of time that you're putting into it. And that's how you recognize when there's fat in your process. If you're selling a service and you're like, wow, I'm spending 80% of my time doing bookkeeping work when I should just be running ads, you need to get an accountant, right? You need to have somebody on board, on hand, who actually does that for you. That's when you know. So how to recognize fat in your process. I think I already said this, but whenever you're spending more time than you should on something that isn't as valuable as the time that you're putting into it, that's when you know that you should hire or outsource. And that's the first step to knowing. Second, is when you have a specific system or a process that you use that works over and over and over again, but it's just not worth your time to go through it. A great example of this is cold calling. A lot of social media marketing agency gurus online talk about cold calling and the value of cold calling, how to cold call, cold calling, scripts, all this stuff. It's all super valuable. You can get lots of clients through cold calling. But me personally, I've actually hired a commission-based salesperson to come in and cold call for me. I'm going to be training him on the process of reaching out to businesses, getting them on board, and getting them meetings on my calendar so I can close them. And so these will be meetings that I'll just handle over Zoom. They can be international clients, local clients, I don't care. I'm training him on reaching out to a few specific types of businesses that I personally work with within my agency, and he's going to do all that work for me, and I'm paying him a commission per sale that I make. He's going to take the monthly retainer, and a certain commission of that monthly retainer is going to go straight to his bank account, right? Which is a totally beautiful thing. And to me, that's what agency owners need to be doing. They shouldn't be out there cold calling themselves. So how to know when you should hire? Again, if you're spending too much time doing something that isn't worth your time. Another thing is when there's fat in your process, when it's clear that you need somebody who knows what they're doing, that knows more about a certain thing than you do. This sales guy is a much better salesperson than I am. I'm a pretty good salesperson. I can sell pretty well, but he's worked more corporate sales jobs. He's done all kinds of, he's been in sales for like 5 years, and he's sold hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars worth of products, and so now he's gonna be selling for me, and I'm gonna train him on the scripts and stuff like that. But to know when to hire, look at fat and and just be honest with yourself. What do I not know enough about that somebody else might know about that would help me streamline? So there's two types of hires. There's one type of hire that helps systemize an already existing process, and there's another type of hire that adds a new system into your business. So if you know anything about me, you know I look at business like a system, like a process. It has inputs, processes, and outputs, right? Input is time primarily. Processes is getting clients, bringing them value, whatnot. Output is profit, right? So one of the processes that you can implement is hiring people to take on tasks that are already being done. Another one is to hire people to do tasks that aren't being done, that should be done, that will help you grow. So the two types of hires are one type of person that just does something that's already being done but takes it off of your hands. Another is somebody who does something that you can't do, and when he starts to do it, it grows the business. For example, I hate cold calling, so I hired a guy to do it. I don't want to have to do it. I hate it. It sucks, so I'm going to have him do it. A better example would probably be an accountant, right? Another example would be if you don't know how to run Facebook ads, get on Upwork, find somebody who can run Facebook ads, and train him on the niche that you're delivering services to, so he knows the general ins and outs and can deliver results to your clients. So I hope this helps you understand just the basics of hiring. It's really not as complicated as it sounds. Some of the places that you can actually go to hire people are websites like Upwork.com. You can go to onlinejobs.ph, which is you can hire people from the Philippines, which are super cheap labor. Another thing that you can do is you can just post in local Facebook groups or post on your personal Facebook or Instagram page. For me, I literally just put out a story post on Instagram. I said, I'm looking for salespeople for my agency. And because I run a small personal brand, I've got enough people following me that this guy reached out to me. And frankly, he didn't find me from my personal brand. He's actually an old friend of mine. But if I wasn't running this personal brand, he wouldn't have found me and wouldn't have seen this and wouldn't have been able to work with me. So there's lots and lots and lots of ways to get people on board, but honestly, the most efficient and effective way to do it is to look at your local network and see who is decently qualified. And the last point that I want to make in this video is when you're hiring people, you've got the two types of hires, right? You've got doing something that's already being done and just making it work smoother so you don't have to do it. And then there's people that come on and do something that you can't do to help you grow the business, right? But within that, there's different types of hires. There's one where they're slightly unqualified, but you can train them. And there's a second where they're already qualified and they're asking for a lot of money. With this guy, he's right in that middle ground of slightly unqualified because he's never really actually sold social media marketing services, but he is qualified because he's sold other stuff. So I'm gonna train him on how social media marketing works. And that way it's actually cheaper for me to pay this guy than it would be for me to hire somebody who already knows everything about social media marketing, has already sold millions of dollars worth of it, and somebody that I randomly found online, right? So those are the two types of hires. I highly, highly recommend you go with the type of hire that asks of you to train them, because ultimately you spend less money on them. Ultimately, they end up being much better employees, and you end up having a much better relationship with them. And though it does take more time up front, it'll probably take 4 or 5 months for me to actually make this guy proficient. It doesn't matter. It's a long-term investment, and I'm completely willing to sit back and wait for that to work. And the beautiful thing about training him on how the business model works is that now he understands and can be creative in fixing problems within the business as a whole. So if he is trained up underneath me, he doesn't just understand how to sell it, he also understands how to deliver. He also understands the client communication process. He also understands everything about what we do, how to build funnels, whatever else. And so then he can creatively come in and solve problems within the business that I didn't even see were there, and he can help me grow this thing, and he's still just being paid commission, right? And so that's a beautiful thing to me, and I think that everybody should look at hiring through that light, not just finding somebody who's qualified and bringing them in, because they're gonna ask a lot of money and you're not gonna have the best relationship with them. I highly recommend you hire people who aren't fully qualified, have a decent track record, but aren't fully qualified for your specific business, and then you train them on the business. What's brilliant about training people is that by the end of the training program, or whatever you call it, by the time you're done training them, you have a great relationship with them, and you trust each other, and you can bounce ideas off of each other and provide honest feedback back and forth. A final point for this video when you're hiring people is that you want to be completely and totally honest about absolutely everything. Don't try to come off as something that you're not. Don't try to brag to your employee. Like, they're not there to like rub warm butter on your ego. They're there to work for you. And I say this because I struggle with this. Like, I struggled to be honest with the people that I brought on. I wanted them to think that they were getting a better gig than they actually were. And when rubber met the road, they were pretty frustrated with me. So I just highly encourage you, if you're a beginner, just be honest with people. I'm a beginner and I'm trying to grow this thing, and I'd love your help. If you're already advanced, just share numbers with them. Numbers is a great way to help define the relationship. And that's a big tip too. In the front, don't define the relationship off of feeling. Don't define the relationship off of just, we'll feel it out, we'll figure it out. No, like, put numbers in place before anything goes forward. Otherwise, you will end up in a really nasty position with them 6, 7, 8 months down the line, when you both have conflicting ideas of what's supposed to happen here. So like for this guy, for the commission-based guy, I'm asking of him at least 1 new client a month, at least, minimum, preferably 2 or 3, but at least 1 new client onto our agency. And of course it's on me to actually close the clients and actually get them in and get them through the processes involved. But he's got to send at least 1 client into our agency that books, not just 1 lead, but 1 new client a month. And as well, we also agreed on a certain commission-based pay. We're never going to go lower than it, but if he ends up sending me at least 3 months for a period of 3 months, then we will raise the pay by a certain amount. So we're putting numbers on paper so that we know the expectations moving forward. Never feel things out, never trust somebody to be able to work with you in that way, quote unquote, right? Just know that the most important thing is that you put numbers on paper and everybody knows what's involved, and that everybody's completely 100% clear on the expectations. Otherwise, you'll end up with some people yelling at you, being frustrated with you, like I've experienced before, and just have upfront conversations about, if this doesn't happen, you're off the team. Make sure they know while they're still fresh, young, and can handle that, right? So that's about all I have in terms of hiring people. You know, there's a lot involved. When you start to have 3 or 4 people on board, you kind of become a team leader, and there's a whole psychology behind that. There's a bunch involved in, you know, handling these relationships. There's tons of books that I recommend on the topic, but you know, I'll probably make another video about that sometime soon. So that's kind of all I have to say about hiring people. When it comes to firing people, again, it's just, if they're not meeting the expectations that you set at the beginning of the relationship, then you just say, hey, we agreed to this, maybe on paper or with a contract, whatever. You're not meeting the expectations. I still love you, still want the best for you, but you're gonna have to find another job, right? And at which point, they may be emotional, they may be upset, but that's not on you because you set the expectation up front, right? And you know you had a good employee when they walk away and they respect you still. So that's really, really good. So anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope I brought you some value. Hope I clarified for you how truly simple it is to get out there and hire people. Again, a couple websites are Upwork and onlinejobs.ph. Post on your personal Facebook, post on Instagram, just look for people, ask around, have people send you referrals, whatever. You could find a lot of really qualified people very quickly, and especially if you're willing to train people, pretty much anybody works. So yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed. I feel like I've tried to end this video like 4 times. I'm just gonna end it here. If I brought you value, leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that stuff. I'll be uploading tons more content on social media marketing here soon. Actually, I'm trying to do daily in February. I missed 2 days so far. Trying to do daily though. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.